Hey everybody, Russ and Val with Where RV USA. We're here at the Outer Banks at Camp Hatteras Campground on Hatteras Island. We're going to show you pictures of the RV park and things to do along the Outer Banks. We're going to get to spend a whole week in this part of the world. We're going to see
Kitty Hawk up where the Wright Brothers flew.
And with this wind, it's easy to understand why they chose this area.
The ocean's still supposed to be in the 70s and low 80s.
Are you going to go test it?
Yeah, I'll go test it.
All right, I'll film it while she tests it.
It's kind of rough right now. I have to wait till the tide's going out.
All right, everybody, join us for our tour of the Outer Banks. The location of the first flight took place on a remote sandy beach off the coast of North Carolina near a small fishing village known as Kitty Hawk. That strand of land, known as the Outer Banks, is part of a 200-mile-long string of barrier islands that separate the Atlantic Ocean from the North Carolina coast. Today, we're going to go visit that famous site, but first, we have to stop and talk to a local legend that has a unique perspective on that topic.
My name is Stanley Beacham. I'm native of Dare County, and I've been here 83 years. My ancestors on the Beacham side have been in Kitty Hawk Village since the 1600s. And, my daddy was in the Coast Guard. My grandparents, both my grandfathers, were in the life-saving service, which foreran the Coast Guard. That is the first plane that, on the 14th, it flew on the 17th. And they couldn't get it to fly on the 14th. And that is my granddaddy and my daddy. And my daddy's dog named Bounce.
So they were just helping?
My granddaddy was stationed there.
Oh.
And the life-saving service dissolved into the Coast Guard in 1915.
So this picture was taken when?
December the 14th, 1903, and Orville Wright took the picture.
Wow, part of history. So was your dad old enough to remember that?
He remembered it, and he loved Orville Wright. He said Wilbur was grouchy. He liked Orville because they had to bring everything with them.
Right.
There was nothing down here, and the camera was theirs. And he would give the children, there was other children there with their parents and living there, and he would give them licorice candy sticks. And I said, black or red? And my daddy said, the black ones. I said, bleh. I said, I wouldn't eat one of them for nothing. He said, well, we didn't have candy down here. We had no stores, no refrigeration, no electricity, no paved roads, and it was just different.
Well, when you see the picture of the plane taking off and nothing but sand, it looks like you're out in the middle of the desert. Now they've terraformed that area and with grass.
I have a picture of some of the crew members sitting on the porch of the station. The Captain Jesse Ward. Next to him was my granddaddy. Next to him was Adam Etheridge, and his wife is the one who sewed the machine, sewed the material. The next one was John T. Daniels, and he's the one who took the picture. 12-second flight, and his home is right close to mine. The family still owns it, still maintained, and he had never seen a camera.
Wilbur and Orville.
But they wrote a letter to all the postmasters around northeastern North Carolina, asking about weather conditions and things, and William Tate was the postmaster in Kitty Hawk. He answered the letter, and they came down to look it over, and they went into Kitty Hawk Village, and William Tate was the postmaster, and so they had the Methodist parsonage, which was not being used, and he put them up in that, and they made several trips. They had to come by train from Dayton, Ohio to Elizabeth City, which is 64 miles across the water, come over here by freight boat. Made several trips over here until they settled on the site there where they actually flew. North of the station, 4 miles, is now a restaurant called the Black Pelican. And that station was the original Weather Bureau. And they walked from the site 4 miles up the beach, no roads, to send a telegram to their daddy that they had flown successfully and they would be home for Christmas.
We're here at the Wilbur and Orville Wright Museum celebrating the origination of flight. In just a minute, we'll take you out to the grounds where the Wright brothers first flew their plane. Behind me, you see a replica. This museum has got all kinds of interesting information about how they made this bird fly.
Or a spaghetti box, either one. Flat box, long, flat box.
Okay.
Okay. If I twist it like this, what happens?
Oh, so what was the bird?
Watch.
That's what those cross wires are.
Come right up to here. If you look at the airplane.
And he's doing that with his feet?
Nope. His hips are connected in a cradle. His hips are working the rudder and the
Really?
wing warp at the same time.
Really?
Now, later on in the years, they divorced as the feet started controlling the rudder. But this first flight, he simply shifted his feet.
Wow, his hips.
That's that's genius.
It is.
That
It is.
most people that would never. Let's go take a look at where they flew and the monument that's at the top of Kill Devil Hill, right? All right, let's go check that out.
They wrote a letter to the U.S. Weather Bureau and asked what the windiest places were in the United States. And the U.S. Weather Bureau did send them back a fairly decent list with the windiest places. Now, number one on that list was somewhere in California. The second place on that list, does anybody have a guess? It's going to be the Windy City, Chicago, exactly. Now, when you think about the three things they need, it has wind. Does it have sand and isolation in Chicago?
Mm-mm.
No, not at all. They get down to number 6. Now, number 6 is a small fishing village off the coast of North Carolina. It's called Kitty Hawk. Now, I say it's a fishing village because it's not an incorporated town yet. So they've heard of the Outer Banks, and they obviously have wind because it's on this list. And since they've heard of the Outer Banks, they know it's a barrier island, so it should have sand. Now, what they do to answer their question about the isolation aspect is they send a letter to the U.S. Postmaster here. And they say, they ask a lot of questions, one of them being the population, but some of it about weather, the topography of the area, just things like that. And the postmaster willingly writes back and he says, he answers all their questions, but at the very end of it, he kind of adds a personal touch. He says, if you choose to do your experiments here, you'll be welcomed by hospitable people. And me, being from the Outer Banks, I like to believe we are pretty hospitable here. So, like I said, for all of the glider trials, they're jumping off the Big Kill Devil Hill and some of the other large dunes in the area. Now, with the self-propelled plane that they have, they don't want anybody to doubt that it is self-propelled. So they don't want to be near that hill at all. So they come here to the flat sandy ground and they put down this track. It's about 60 foot in length. No, this isn't the original. This is a replica. They have that flag up. They get some friends from the life-saving station to come and help. One of those gentlemen, his name is John. And John has a very important task that day of being the photographer. Now, like I said, before the Wright brothers, nobody had seen a camera here, let alone operated one. But they tell John, they said, listen, John, we have the camera set up. It's pointed at the track here. All you have to do is squeeze this bulb if you see anything cool happen.
Mm-hmm.
And our dear friend John, he says, sounds simple enough, I can do that. And you have to remember though, cameras back then were very bulky.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have a sheet over your head. The images you were looking at were reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And all he had to do was just squeeze a bulb if anything cool happened. Orville gets on the plane, they put it on this track. Wilbur's standing on the right-hand side holding that wing up. And they start that engine. Propellers start moving. He starts moving about 6 mile an hour land speed down this track. And here at the 40-foot mark, Orville takes off. 12 seconds, 120 feet. That's all it took to change history. The first powered, heavier than air, controlled flight by man. 12 seconds. Excited, they run back. They put that plane back on the track because they're going to do it again. But they go to their friend John and they say, John, please say you got the photo. And he says, maybe. I may have got the photo. It's like, I think I squoze this bulb. I don't know if you were still on the ground or if you were in the air. I honestly don't know. This time, Wilbur gets on the plane. He takes off and he goes 12 seconds, 175 feet. They bring it back excited. They get back on it. This time it's Orville. He goes 15 seconds, 200 feet. And in that fourth and final flight they take that day is Wilbur driving, and he hops on it and he flies 852 feet that way in 59 seconds. Now, they were excited about all this, but they are also very cold. So they and their friends from the life-saving station, they need to warm up. So they go inside the cabin to stand next to the stove for a little bit. But to be such geniuses, they forget to tie down their plane. And the wind just takes it for a ride across the sand, unfortunately breaking it beyond repair that day.
In 1927, Congress authorized the Kill Devil Hills Monument to commemorate Orville and Wilbur Wright's achievement of their first successful flights. The actual monument was dedicated and opened November 14, 1932. We're standing up on Kill Devil Hill, the place where the Wright brothers launched their plane from. We pan around the memorial. The vegetation that you see was actually brought in by workers because this was actually
a giant sand dune. And in 1929, they decided to put the monument on top of Kill Devil Hill, but it was a big sand dune and it wouldn't support this giant granite monument. So they actually brought dirt and grass up to stabilize this big sand dune.
We hope you enjoyed our visit to the birthplace of flight. The Outer Banks is a unique place to visit. It's rich in history, beauty, and hospitality. Next week, we're going to continue the exploration of this beautiful area, starting off with the campground that we stayed at. We're going to explore the biggest mystery on the island called the Lost Colony. We're going to hunt pirates in the graveyard of the Atlantic. We're going to show you a very unique aquarium and explore some of the famous lighthouses on the Outer Banks. So, make sure you tune in. This is Russ and Val on the Outer Banks. We'll see you down the road.